Where's the beef from? The Secretary of Agriculture of the United States got asked on Tuesday where the beef's coming from. And she said she's not privy to talk about that. She runs the Department of Agriculture. Beef is the job of the department. And she just pulled a Wadsworth. To make a long story short, too late. Did you get the clue there? If you didn't, it's a shameless tribute to Tim Curry. I'm dropping a bunch of those and a bunch of call outs to Dolly in the next few days, so I'm sorry if you don't get it. Some are subtle, some aren't quite that way. Anyway, if you're like me, a meatitarian, and yes, I see our producers scowl through the glass at me. He and his wife have been trying to convert me to the plant-based life forever. But for us normal people, like me, you know that beef prices are at record highs. The American cattle herd is the smallest it's been since the 50s. Drought, cost of feed, diseases that we used to monitor for, and a president who has slapped tariffs on the countries that we import from. And oh, by the way, he started a war that spiked the diesel that every rancher needs. So yes, now my New York strip is expensive as hell. And on Friday, the Big Mac in chief got on Truth Social and announced his plan. Screw the American rancher, something you won't hear Sam Elliott saying on a Dodge Ram commercial. But for 90 days, up to 300,000 metric tons of foreign lean trimmings for ground beef will come in with no tariff and, quote, we have a commitment that this beef will be sold at 25% below current market prices. A commitment from who? He didn't say. From where? Again, didn't tell us. And now everybody's pissed off about it, his own people even. Deb Fischer and Pete Ricketts, both Nebraska Republicans, are saying it's a mistake. The Farm Bureau losing their minds. The head of the U.S. Cattlemen's Association saying you don't put America first by putting U.S. cattle producers last. And rightfully said that it gambles with food safety. Ranchers are saying that they're being betrayed. John Boyd of the National Black Farmers Association said the president punches the American farmer in the face, and that we're losing 77 farmers and cattlemen a day. And you have to know that Donald Trump floated this idea back in May. I think that's when it was. And he was talked out of it, thankfully. But this time, nobody could talk him out of it. So on Tuesday, a reporter asked the natural question, asking the Agriculture Secretary the only question that matters. Where's it coming from?
What specific countries have been in talks with the U.S. about stepping up those beef imports, aside from Mexico, which you just detailed?
I am not privy to talk about that. I think the conversations are still going on, and that's Ambassador Greer, who's finalizing what exactly that looks like. And I think the president's involved in that as well. And
that's her answer. She's not privy. Brooke Rollins, the Secretary of Agriculture. Being privy is her literal job. If you're not privy to where 300,000 tons of meat is coming from, what the hell are you privy to? A professional pirate would at least tell you which ship. Ruben Gallego asked why not. Claire McCaskill saying, why is this a damn secret? If we're promoting foreign beef and importing it, don't we have a right to know where it's coming from? Of course we do. Greg Sargent took the words right out of my mouth. Isn't she even curious? Didn't she ask him? So the Secretary of Agriculture is either lying about not knowing, or she's telling the truth, and the president cut a beef deal with a foreign country without talking with the Department of Agriculture. Pick whichever one of those makes you feel better. Neither of them are good options. And she also claims that she still hasn't even talked to Donald Trump about it, saying, I have not talked to him specifically about this specific announcement and what that looks like.
You know, he and I have talked a lot about this for a very, very long time. I have not talked to him specifically about this specific announcement and what that looks like, but I do know he's working very, very closely with Jamison Greer on it.
The Secretary of Agriculture found out about the beef plan the way you and I did on Truth Social, between all the AI slop posts. So people down in the comments, do you check where your meat comes from? Would you buy ground beef that the federal government refuses to tell you the origin of? And what do you think the answer is? Because I've got a guess, and it rhymes with Brazil or Blargentina. Now look, I do want to address one thing that's on the internet. It's a theory, and I want to be clear, there is no evidence for this. People like PolitiFact and even the USDA have looked into this, and they say that every shipment gets re-inspected by species. But I've got to address the fact that the IKEA meatball theory is out there, and that we might end up eating horse meat. And the reason is because the timing was weird. Trump announced this mystery beef right at the same time the New York Times is reporting the Bureau of Land Management is letting wild horses get sold to middlemen for $25 a head, who then flip them to slaughterhouses overseas. Two real stories happening at the same time. And look, the meat, it's not horse, at least I think, but I mention it because when the Secretary of Agriculture says, I'm not privy about where your meat is from, don't be shocked when I try to check my burger meat for traces of a saddle. But the truth here is actually worse because we are seeing the disaster on the horizon. August 7th, a company called Corte Argentino out of Aventura, Florida, recalled nearly 30,000 pounds of raw Argentine beef, sirloin, eye of round, knuckle, all of that coming into this country and getting sold in Florida and Texas without ever going through USDA reinspection. That reinspection is supposed to happen when it arrives at the port. So now you have a Class 1 recall, the highest the agency has. Something no one caught at the border. They only caught it through routine surveillance, 79 days after the beef entered the country. And by then, it was in restaurants all the way from Miami to Dallas. And that is the Argentina beef pipeline that this administration built starting last October, and it's already leaking. And frankly, I thought we were supposed to have secure borders. I guess that doesn't apply if you are bringing in deadly meat. The Trump regime seems to only be worried about the hard-working people with darker skin tones, not meat that can kill you. And through all of this, helping foreign beef instead of American businesses. I mean, 77 farmers and cattlemen a day going under, while the herd's at a 70-year low, and the White House's solution is to buy someone else's meat. You don't put America first by putting the American rancher last. And by the way, Donald Trump, he could be the man that actually fixes it all. He could reinstate inspections and funding for catching diseases, for monitoring the cattle. He could drop tariffs. He could end the war. He could support American workers and ranchers. Instead, Donald Trump's pals in South America will get the benefits. And I do want to point out that Miss Not Privy last October, when Donald Trump quadrupled the beef quota from Argentina right after handing Milei a $20 billion bailout, she went on Fox News and spouted stats right off the top of the dome. Americans eating 12 million tons of beef, but only producing 10. So we import 2. So she told us to relax. She knew those numbers cold. And now conveniently, she's not privy. Here you come again, Argentina. Well, after this Argentina deal, there's a very short list of where our beef could be coming from, and the cattlemen have already warned about foot and mouth disease coming in from these countries. Now, the biggest question, will this actually drop our prices? Well, I've got to tell you that this 300,000 tons is only about 2.5% of what this country eats in a year. A tiny fraction. And that 25% below market price is a vague promise from exporters that nobody will name, it will not get enforced by anybody, and on a product that no one has to label, and frankly, no one will ever define market price. You don't have any federal laws that say we have to know where the beef comes from. So now, none of us are privy. And look, I don't have a problem with imports. I just have a problem with the fact that the government could solve all of this. The reason everything's expensive is them. And now they want to fix ground beef with secret shipments from a country they won't name at a price they can't enforce without proper inspections. All so that they can try to get through a midterm. Where's the beef from? She's not privy, and in a couple of weeks, neither are we. And that's why I'm asking you to hit the notification bell or drop a comment, and then shame me for loving red meat.